And one of the women said her and her friend coined the word excite-terrified. Excite-terrified is basically it. I said to her, I'm taking that. I'm going to use that because that's what it is.
Welcome to Zestful Aging Podcast, where I speak with change makers from all over the world, from every walk of life, who will inspire you to live with zest. I'm your host, Nicole Christina, and my mission is to bring you optimism about aging and help you make full use of the new opportunities that only come at this stage of life. And to find out more about this podcast, hop on over to zestfulaging.com. So anyone out there believe in synchronicity? Many of you know that I'm walking part of the Camino de Santiago actually in a few weeks, and I have been thinking, planning, and talking about it a lot. And one night I was scrolling around the different platforms, just messing around and scrolling as you do, and I fell upon a group called Women of a Certain Age. And I was intrigued, and then I was surprised because this group had more than 10,000 members. And the comments were so interesting. They were talking about how special the group was and how the members felt so safe and it was so different. And I thought, wow, this is a beautiful thing. And they were asking questions about, of course, what Camino shoes were the best, and if you really need a pee rag, and all of these kinds of things. So I looked up a little bit more about the Facebook group's administrator, and guess what I found out? She is a social worker like myself, and that is what we call synchronicity. So today I have the rare pleasure and delight of talking to Elisa Golden. She's a psychotherapist and a coach who lives in Toronto. She's also the creator of WOACA, the Camino, a community of almost 12,000 women who are over the age of 50 and either planning on walking or talking about it, planning it, walking it now, walking it, having walked it. And last year, Elisa edited a book called Hearing the Camino's Call that has 58 stories written by women in the group, all about their experiences of walking the Camino. Welcome to the show, Elisa.
Thank you so much, my sister, social worker, Peregrina.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you should have seen me. People make fun of me because I can really jump a lot of octaves when I get excited, and there is a screech that emerges. And I thought, oh my gosh, she's a social worker. This is just too much. And, it was such a delight. And it is so amazing to read the posts of the members in your group. And I know you know this, but the consistent sentiment is this group is really different and really special. Is that what you set out to do when you started WOACA?
I knew my peeps were pretty awesome. I had a real instinct. I'm someone who loves community, and I'm someone who has always loved working with women and being with women and creating sacred space with women and everything. I spent the first 15 years of my career just working with women, and I just have a real appreciation. And I also, as I'm, just past my 60th birthday, I'm also very aware that women who are of a certain age are pretty freaking awesome and have a wisdom and a perspective and a voice that is just born from the experience that we have in life, and given a chance given a safe space, given an opportunity. There is so much love and power in this community. So I didn't have all of that in the front of my mind. All I knew was I wanted to talk with my people about this incredible, Camino experience, whatever that was, because I really didn't know very much at the time. I just knew I wanted to be able to talk about all of the things that were, part of my experience in deciding to go on this walk, on this pilgrimage. And so I just put it out there, and what I got was, exactly what I felt in my heart I was going to get, which is, let's come together and support each other and treat each other with respect. And and so then it just became this enormous labor of love.
This is this love fest.
Just love, a love fest.
Love fest.
Yeah.
And I, some people might be surprised that although you edited this beautiful book, you yourself have not done the walk yet. Tell me about that. Yeah.
You're right. A lot of people are really surprised by that. And it's funny because I think a lot of people seek out the communities where they can get the support and the information and the inspiration and the motivation that they need to do that walk. So that's all I was doing. I was just sort of reaching out saying, I need this. I'm going to go on this walk. I need this. And, I know how to hold space for a bunch of people. So does anybody want to come together and have this conversation? And so I've just been, moving along, getting closer and closer to my Camino in the same way everybody else has been. But at the same time, my instinct and my skills, I guess, I don't know, my something has just, really, and I'm so grateful for this, really allowed me to help connect everybody else who's also doing the same thing. So that's all I've been doing. I mean, you mentioned it in your intro. There's so many posts about, what do I bring? And I just look at those and go, oh, I don't know. I haven't gone yet. I have zero advice to give you. But if somebody posts, I'm really scared of doing this, or I haven't talked to my family yet about it, or that I can talk to, right? Because that's what I'm going through too, and that I can speak to. So that's all I've been doing. And then I've just been having like the best time just, connecting, like, oh, let's get a patch. Like we can make a patch. We can put our patches on our knapsack and then we'll be able to spot each other. Or let's let other people be inspired by our stories. Okay, let's put them all together in a book. Now we have the T-shirts and the buffs. Let's do this. This is fun. So it's just been.
It's just evolving. It seems like organically, it's just sort of growing and evolving without you sitting down and saying, I need a business plan.
Oh, God, no, and I mean.
Hi, Zesties. Hey, if you're enjoying this episode, I would so appreciate if you would share with just one person, like a family member or a friend who would enjoy and benefit from Zestful Aging Podcast. Thank you so much.
Have you been surprised with the sheer volume of women over 50 thinking, talking, planning Camino?
Yeah, I had no idea. I really had no idea. It is the largest single demographic of people who are walking.
Oh, I did not know that.
I didn't know it either. And so there's a lot of us. So then it becomes a really interesting question, right? Like, why? Why? And then you start listening, and I've had, hundreds of conversations over the last, year that the group has been up and running. And And I see myself in every single woman's reason for going. And it's all about, redefining and stepping into your power and having your space and just it's really, really powerful, important stuff. So now that I know that we're a huge demographic, I get it. I really get it. And it's one of the last really sort of, I think, major kind of adventures and undertaking that you can safely do as a solo woman.
I see. Talk a little bit about that, because I have heard some, questioning like, hey, is it safe? You're walking. Some of these places are off the beaten track. What's that like as a single woman? What do you know about that?
Yeah. So again, without having actually walked, I've certainly seen many of these conversations, and it was absolutely the first question I asked of the person that I first talked to about the Camino. So there you go, right? And, I think it was National Geographic, a couple of years ago, they basically said it was the safest or the last safe or something like that, longest trek for a solo woman. So there's definitely an acknowledgement that it's there for us. And so women, I'm not saying that it's 100%, there's, no chance of anything happening, or that women have not felt, in certain situations and certain albergues, around certain corners, that they haven't felt necessarily the safest. But overall, the culture of the Camino is one of help and support. And really, you're not on the Camino by yourself. And so you might be going solo, but it's not like you're not seeing another person, or you're pitching a tent in the middle of nowhere and you're at the mercy of whoever might, come by, or that's not what it is. So it's a combination, I believe, of the culture and the physical infrastructure that is set up and is, hundreds and hundreds of years old, that to support you going from wherever you start to getting to your end place.
And how did you choose your route, Elisa? I know there were a lot of factors, and what our listeners may or may not know is there's many ways to get to, Compostela de Santiago. Am I saying that right?
Santiago de Compostela, almost.
Okay. And this is sort of the central terminus, if that's it, for many, many different ways to get there. How did you choose your route?
Well, it's going to sound corny, and of course this is different for everybody, but for me, there was a certainty. I kind of Googled Camino de Santiago, and the Camino Frances was the first thing that came up, and it just felt right. And it felt right to start at the beginning and go to the end. And then it felt right to add on another 100 kilometers to get to the sort of unofficial end of the Camino, which is Finisterre.
Oh, boy.
And so I did that. And then I just kept following my gut. And this was before I'd heard anything about, hearing the Camino's call or being called to walk the Camino. Like I had not heard anything, but I just kept going, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And how do I want to do it? Yeah, I can transport my suitcase so I don't have to carry it. Okay, do I want to carry it, or do I want to No, I want to transport it. Okay, that's what's right for me. Do I want to stay in albergues? Do I want to stay in private rooms? So it was like all of these decisions had a really clear answer. All these questions had a really clear answer for me. And that is honestly the answer to your question. And I don't.
You just knew. It's like you were following the breadcrumbs.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's a really good way of putting it. And it's not the easiest Camino in terms of, like, I'm going to be gone for 62 days. That's 60, that's 60 days longer than I've ever been gone from, on my own from Toronto. That's not the easiest thing for me. It's not the easiest thing for me to take, like, I'm going to be working and seeing clients during my Camino, but I'm also going to be taking some weeks off. That's not the easiest thing. It's not the cheapest Camino. It's not, it's not the easiest Camino for my family. But it is absolutely the Camino that unfolded in front of me. And I feel really strongly that that's the Camino that I'm supposed to be walking. So we'll see if the Camino has other intentions for me, but I'm doing my best to do what I feel called to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as we get closer and closer, I don't know if you have a countdown app on your phone. I do. What are you most anticipating? What are you most looking forward to as you think about, for those of our listeners who are not familiar, basically you're walking, you're eating, and you're sleeping. What are the parts of this that you're most excited about?
Yeah, so for me, there's a fourth pillar, and that is connecting. So I feel that I am walking with my community. I feel that I'm walking with my family and my friends. I feel like that's a huge important part for me. And I'm really excited about all of the opportunity I'm going to have to, just be and connect and sink into myself. But I'm also really excited about sharing it all. And I wish I was, a vlogger extraordinaire or something, and I had these drones and I knew how to do all this stuff.
Well, most people would love to have a Facebook group of 12,000 members. So let's keep that in mind.
Well, yeah. But now I feel like I want to
document.
Pardon?
You want to document.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want to bring everybody along. I want to talk to everybody about, what I'm experiencing and what I'm feeling and the questions that I'm answering. And I just want to share beautiful pictures and videos and, I just want to be myself and just bring everyone along and so that, when I come back, everyone will just be like, wow, I feel like, that was just so much fun for me. It was so enlightening for me. I loved it. I love following along. That's what I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm hoping that is what I'm going to be, doing when I'm out there.
And of course, you know this more than anybody. People say that they're not the same after they've walked, that their lives have been in some way transformed. How does that sort of sit with you? What are your thoughts about that?
I don't know. I think this is where for me, my spiritual practice kind of comes into play, because I'm pretty sure I know who I am, essentially who I am. And my gut instinct about my Camino is that it will help me to sink into that in a fuller way and be able to integrate that in my life, in my daily life. If I had an intention, that would probably be it. So a different person I know I'm not going to be, but I'm hoping it will be more or fuller experientially of who I really am. And I love the name of your podcast, Zestful Aging, because, for me that zest, that joy of aging is the opportunity to step into that joy and that zest that we essentially are underneath all of the roles that we've been asked to play as women over the years, or the working or the taking, whatever it is, and just have that joy and that zest as we get older and we have different, we're in a different stage of life. So that's kind of how I feel about the journey. But again, we'll see. I mean, the Camino apparently has a way of giving you what you need and not necessarily what you want. And for some people, that's a black eye after falling on a cobblestone on day 2, or a broken ankle, or a whatever. Who knows? So we'll see what happens.
I've been, obviously reading the posts because they're so lovely. But one of the things that I'm seeing that I really appreciate is people saying that they're also anxious, that there's a sense of some vulnerability, some fear mixed with this absolute wild excitement and anticipation. And I was so happy to see that, because I can feel that too. And I'm wondering if that's something that you've experienced, a little bit of apprehension about finally walking.
Yeah, a little bit of apprehension is a minimizing of what I am feeling here, Nicole.
What do you want to call it?
Oh my gosh. One woman, I posted in the group this morning about some of the thoughts and feelings I was having at 13 days out. And one of the women said her and her friend coined the word excite-terrified. I thought that was so great.
Yeah.
Excite-terrified is basically it. I said to her, I'm taking that. I'm going to use that.
Love that.
That's what it is. There is nothing, zero for me, because I haven't traveled by myself. I've never been to Spain. I don't know, I know a little bit of Spanish because I've been taking the WOACA, the Camino Spanish classes, but I don't know very much Spanish. I've never been away from my family. There's so many new, terrifying, scary unknowns that I can't even imagine how I wouldn't be nervous about it. That being said, and I've heard people say this, and I feel like instinctively it's true. Once I get there, I think a lot of that is going to go, because then we're there, right? We're in the moment. We're on the path. We're in the day of, we're just there, and that's a whole different mindset. So I think now is pretty much maybe until the plane lands. I don't know, maybe until it takes off is going to be the scariest part.
Yeah, I was supposed to go with 3 other friends, but one unfortunately had to back out. And she's very sad about it. But I'm going with 2 extremely well-traveled women. And if I want to, I can be pretty lazy and just be like, you tell me where to go and tell, we're also going with a company. So they're taking our luggage, and they've planned out our housing and stuff. So what you're doing is next level.
Well, I loved planning everything. I loved looking in. I tell people it was my Netflix. Like, I barely watched Netflix over the last year. I'd be like, ooh, I wonder where I can stay in, this tiny little medieval village that I'm going to be. I just loved it. I was like, ooh, what's here? And I just had a ball.
And
So,
how did you do this, Elisa? What platforms were you on?
so my process was, I started with a site. I started with actually this woman on YouTube who I just kind of stumbled across her videos. And she kind of was kind enough to, put a little list together of all the places that she stayed. And she had stayed in private rooms, which is what I knew I needed to do. Being a combination light sleeper and snorer, I certainly didn't feel that the dorms were the best thing for me or anybody else that was near me. So I knew I was going to do that. So I sort of started with her, and then I went to another site called Stingy Nomads, and they have some PDFs of some different, again, accommodations, where to stay on Camino Francis. And then from there, I would sort of look, and if I saw something that I liked, sometimes I would go to booking.com.
Yeah, I've heard people
That's
doing
just
that.
an easy peasy. You can see everything. You can read all the reviews. And that's when I would start to read the reviews, because for me, I was looking for something specific. I wanted places that had some heart to them. I didn't want to stay in any Marriott hotels or something.
Right. Oh, yes.
There's a ton
Right.
of those anyway, but I wanted places where people were saying, I got a warm welcome. The people who are running this place were lovely. This person helped me to find this. It's a great place for the Camino. And then I wanted to stay at places that were beautiful. I mean, I'm going to be in Spain. I want to, stay in rooms that have some history, or some places that have, a nice tree to sit underneath, and or a balcony that looks over an old square that I don't know if I'm going back. I don't know what's going to happen. That's the way I wanted to do it. And so I would look at the reviews, and I would read up on different places. And sometimes I would go to the actual place's website, because that's the way you had to book. Sometimes you had to book, doing a WhatsApp, and it was quite the quite the journey. But I started very far in advance, and I would definitely, if anyone's listening and who wants to, do this, who wants to walk the Camino, or who wants to, especially booking private rooms, but even the dorms, start in advance, because I do see people now who are posting, I'm leaving in 3 weeks and I can't find a room. I mean, it makes sense, right? There's thousands of people walking this thing, so there's a finite number of beds. So it's not that anyone's going to sleep on the road, but it just means that some people might be walking further than they want, or some people might be taxiing back and taxiing forward, which is fine. But if it's not, if it's not your vision of the Camino, you might want to start a little bit ahead. And then there's lots of people who will book as they walk.
Well, that makes me anxious just thinking about that.
Yeah, it wasn't my cup of tea, but some people, it's a really important part of their Camino, of their experience, and I really respect that. And I get it. I totally understand how there's a real blessing in just walking out the door in the morning and just doing whatever it is you feel like you need and want to do, right?
Right. Yep. Yes. No, I can see that. It's not who I am, but I can see some people really loving that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think what we should let our listeners know is that you and I are going to be walking. We have an overlap. Yeah. And I am going to be on Del Norte, which runs on obviously the northern coastal part of Spain. And you are going to be on the Frances, which comes in from France, right? Are you going to start in Irun?
I'm starting in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, just on the French side of the Pyrenees. So I'll be
Yes,
going
yes,
up over the mountains. And when I get
yes.
underneath, or when I get to the other side, I'll be in Spain. So it's
Mm-hmm.
only a day and a half, I think, of walking in France, and then it hits Spain.
And it goes right, right. And you and I are going to, again, in synchronicity, try to contact one another on the walk and do some kind of joint venture in
Yeah.
Facebook or something to talk about our experiences and share them with our listeners.
Yeah, that would be really, really fun. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. I hope we can find the internet, but even if not, I have a feeling we'll be in touch as we go. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you'd like? I mean, I've been immersed in this whole Camino thing for a year now. And, once you learn about it, it's like, all Camino all the time, but not
Yeah.
everybody is familiar with it. Is there anything else you'd like to just share before we wrap up today? Anything that you think women who are listening, who are of a certain age, might like to consider, why they might consider looking into walking at least part of the Camino?
Yeah, I think the solo aspect of it is really big. It's really vital. And it doesn't mean that you don't necessarily walk with a group or walk with a couple of friends or whatever, but there's something about the Camino that it gives you permission to just sort of wake up in the morning at home and say, I want to do this. And then there's a way for you to do it no matter how you want to do it. And that is really special. That's really, really special. And, you started off this conversation by talking about how special the WOACA, the Camino group is, and the community is. The expression of that, it comes out in the acceptance that the women in the community have regarding how other women want to walk. And so there are certain spaces on Facebook or whatever that aren't so accepting. But when you get to a place that is accepting, what happens is that it's a gift because you have permission to do it the way you want to do it. So I would say that is a difference between the Camino and maybe another kind of a trip or an adventure. There's so many different ways you can do this thing. You and I are walking totally different paths, and we're walking in different ways, and everything will be different. Yet, if we might both. I don't know if this is going to happen, but, theoretically, we could both end up walking into Santiago on the same day, on the same sidewalk, on the same, and having done it completely, you've done it the way your heart told you to do it, and I did it the way my heart told me to do it. And I think for women, of a certain age, it's huge. Like, when do you get to follow that kind of instinct and dream like that? So
It sounds to me like there's this. It feels like this enormous gift that we're giving ourselves. And when you were talking about, I want to find a place that has an old tree or some history. I mean, that seems like the most beautiful and most profound of gifts that we're giving ourselves, that we're going to do this thing that is not always going to be easy. I mean, I have so many different, anti-inflammatories ready and, ready to go if necessary. It's going to be hard. But there's something about it. This feels different than just saying, oh, I'm going to go to Paris, and look at all the good stuff. It has such a deeper, soulful, to me, and it's so ripe with finding a different level of meaning. And maybe I'm saying what you're saying in a different way, but it feels very unique in that way.
Yeah, very well put. It's very, very, very true. And I think when especially when like we've got some incredible, like, I don't know if I can say this, kick-ass women in that community. Like we have women that are like, climbing mountains and just going all over the place. They're never in one place 1 month after the other, Oh, there they are at the pyramids. Oh, there they are. And so, there's no grass growing under a lot of their feet, right? But so there's many different reasons for them to go. I think even some of those women, would walk the Camino just for the pure physical, challenge of it. The way a 25-year-old might walk the Camino, right? Or some of the people who walk and they're just like they really just want to walk and make the best time they can make, so that sort of thing. But I just, there's been so many, like nobody says that they got off of the Camino and their life is completely the same. Like nobody, I haven't heard anybody say that. Some people have had disappointing Caminos or Caminos where they didn't get what they, hoped that they would get or all of that. But I haven't heard anyone say, I may as well not have even done it. So,
whatever. Yeah, no, that's it, right? That's both the excitement and the fear. Like, I just, I'm starting to get a little nervous, and it sounds like that's pretty normal, and I'm really appreciating that validation from your members. So, Elisa, can you tell people where they can find out more about WOACA and all of what you're doing to provide a supportive place for women over 50 doing this extraordinary journey?
Right. Well, right now, the Facebook group is really our main place to hang out together. And so it's WOACA-ing the Camino. I think it's called WOACA the Camino, Women Over 50 Supporting, Sharing something. Anyway, WOACA, if you go to Facebook and you put in WOACA the Camino, you're going to get our group. So that's definitely. But if you're not wanting to join a group or you're not on Facebook, but you would like to, be inspired by a whole bunch of women over 50 who are walking the Camino, then I would suggest picking up the book because it is so beautiful. It is so powerful. It is so inspiring. And I'm so proud of everybody who has written in it. I did zero editing for, taking words out, etc. It was just readability. There was nobody who put in a story where I said, oh no, this isn't good enough. Like everybody just put in from their heart. And so it's a collection that really seems to be speaking to women over 50 who just want to, know what's possible,
And tell our listeners the title again.
So it's called Hearing the Camino's Call.
Okay.
And it's on Amazon. I think there's another book called Hearing the Call of the Camino. So that's not what it is. This has got two amazing women on the cover. You can't miss it. Hearing the Camino's Call. Yeah.
Beautiful. And do you want to give them any other information, or is that the best place to find you and follow you?
It is kind of right now. There may be in the future a better way, but this thing is, grown so quickly in the year, and I've just been trying to kind of, keep up with my own Camino planning and also just to have fun and experience the community. So I haven't done a lot of, whatever behind the scenes, whatevering. So this is just it for now. Yeah.
It is really fun. It is a really fun group. Well, I am so excited for you And I can't wait to hear from you. And I'm really hoping that the synchronicity continues and we get to crisscross at some point. I'm so glad I found you. It was just like, sort of lightning struck or something. I thought, wow, wait, this is just too good to be true. So
Yeah.
it was.
I'm so glad. It's so nice you found me. It's so nice that you found the community. It's so nice that you're getting lots of good stuff out of it. And it was just, now we have a connection that we can just, grow and just continue.
And that our audiences can find each other as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the other piece, that there could be some cross-pollination of people that listen to Zestful Aging saying, wait a minute, I've heard of the Camino. Let me jump on that Facebook group. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Elisa, Godspeed, Buen Camino. I can't wait to hear all about it. And it's just been such a pleasure to get to talk to you today.
Oh, a pleasure was mine as well. And Buen Camino to you too. And it's so exciting. I'm so excited for you and for you to go and walk. It's going to be great to connect on the way.
Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. If you like the podcast, please share it with some of your friends. Our theme song is All I Did Was Wait for You by Kjartan Abel. Visit Kjartan-Abel, that's KJARTAN-Abel, ABEL.com to hear more of Kjartan's work. And our technical director is Stephen Litweiler. Hello, Zesties. Well, many of you know that I've been a psychotherapist for more than 30 years, and I'm an expert in healthy aging. But what you might not know is that I'm also a midlife coach, and I help women like you clarify and design the life you want to live in your second half. A life that's vibrant and feels uniquely like you. Maybe you've spent your entire life caring for others in one way or another, and you're a bit stuck with how to move forward in this new phase of your life. Or maybe you're considering a career change or other big life transition. Or maybe you're in the middle of a life change you didn't see coming. You may be asking yourself questions like, who am I now? And how do I build a new kind of life for myself? Or how do I make the most of the time I have left? This stage in our lives is the perfect time to pause, recalibrate, and reassess where our life is heading and ask ourselves what deserves our precious time. Now is the time to focus on what brings you joy and a sense of deep, calm contentment. I love helping women discover who they are in addition to being caregivers. After our sessions, you will have a clear plan for making your life more vibrant and deeply satisfying. You will feel a sense of control because you will be making choices that are perfect for you. And you will feel more confident because you will have an individualized blueprint to follow. And because you're a Zestful Aging podcast listener, I'm offering a special package deal. Contact me at zestfulaging.com right through my contact link. Time is truly precious, and there's no time to waste. And stay tuned next week for another interview with a fascinating and inspiring guest. See you then.